Rob's asking for mic checks real quick.
1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello 1 2. Hello 1 2. Hello 1 2.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Speaking. Not responding. One more time with you.
1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello 1 2. Hello 1 2.
20 seconds. All right, we're good on mic checks.
Okay.
10. Figure the same.
I'll follow your lead.
Before. All right. Well, welcome to the South Concourse of McLean Stadium. A day earlier this week. You can blame a Thursday game for that one, right, John?
Yes, yeah. A lot of things different this week.
A lot of things different. The voice of the Bears, John Morris. I am Sports Director Kurtis Quillin at 6 News, and this is the Big 12 breakdown for, I believe it's week 7 of the college football season.
How about that? Week 7.
I feel like I blinked.
Yeah, exactly. Boy, that's the way it is. When you get into it, when the season starts, it just rolls, doesn't it? And here we are. This will be game 6 for Baylor this week, and that's the halfway point of the regular season.
It is. I feel like the next time I feel like I'll blink after I leave Morgantown Thursday night, and the next thing I know, we'll be at some bowl game somewhere in December. It's week 7, so I want to start with the same way we always do with the recap. We can go through scores, or we can go through thoughts of the games.
Okay.
I'm going to start with the 2 11 a.m. kicks.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, I don't want to use the B word, but Texas 49, Oklahoma nothing makes you want to use the B word with Texas.
I'm telling you, they were hitting on all cylinders, and they took advantage of, a wounded animal in Oklahoma, because Dylan Gabriel didn't play, so factor that in. But would Dylan Gabriel have been the difference in making up 49 points? I don't think so. He didn't play defense either. Right. So how about that? I mean, really impressive win by Texas.
Quinn Ewers is back.
Yeah.
He plays in this game, and he's electric. There's a reason why they bring him back from injury. Hudson Card is playing well, and they still go with Quinn Ewers at QB. It's because of the difference he makes in the offense. 49 points against a little bit of a wounded animal in the Oklahoma defense especially.
Yeah, and he looked good. I mean, coming back, 4 weeks he was out?
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks he was out and stepped right back in and looked like he hadn't missed a beat from when he played against Alabama.
Right. He was injured in the second quarter in week 2.
Yeah.
And then, missed the second half of that game, week 3, week 4, week 5.
Yeah, that's it.
And week 6. Came back in weeks.
Right.
You get the point. The other 11 a.m. game that I think we can glean more from, TCU 38, Kansas 31, College game day in Lawrence. TCU on the cusp of the top 10 right now.
Yeah.
And Kansas staying put at number 19. Kansas fans, to me, have a right to be very upset about the last play of the game. I think there were a couple of defensive holdings that no flag was thrown.
Sure.
2 that I saw in the frame as Jason Bean is throwing the ball. But Jason Bean coming in for an injured Jalen Daniels and not letting up, that was not the same Jason Bean you and I saw last year in Lawrence.
Yeah, no, really impressive. For him to be ready and to step into that position in that game with all the magnitude, really for KU in that game, for him to be prepared and step in and play as well as he did, I mean, that was really, really good. I mean, that was 2 good teams. I mean, however you slice it, those were 2 top 20 teams duking it out against each other, and TCU just got the better of Kansas.
Which 5-0 is more impressive to you, 2022 TCU or 2019 Baylor?
Ooh, good thought. I'm closer to Baylor, obviously, and I remember those games, and they were, climbing as the season went on and got better as the season went on. And Baylor was picked that year? What do you think in 19?
Oh, in 19?
Had to have been low, middle of the pack to low probably.
I want to say 4th or 5th or 6th.
Yeah, that might be right. But then look at TCU. They weren't picked very highly this year. Right. And how they've done, the big win over Oklahoma, follow that up with a win over Kansas. So
neither one really tested in the non-conference slate.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, both of them, 5-0 is 5-0, isn't it?
You don't ask how, you ask how many.
That's right.
How about the comeback for the ages? not that I'm biased or anything, in Stillwater, Oklahoma on Saturday with number 7 Oklahoma State 41, Texas Tech 31. John, when I tell you that I've never been so happy to see a flag on a field in all of my life as on that kickoff, Baron Morton, a redshirt freshman in his first career start, was absolutely magnificent for Joey McGuire's bunch.
Yeah, and where did that come from? I mean, just kind of out of the blue, right? And look at Tech, I mean, taking their winning ways on the road, playing in that atmosphere. Really impressive by Tech, but Oklahoma State, give them credit. They did what they had to do to get a win.
Back-to-back weeks pushing ranked Big 12 contenders to the brink on the road. They take Kansas State down to the wire, lose by 9. They take Oklahoma State down to the wire, lose by 10. And that Oklahoma State team was trailing going into the fourth quarter, needed a good fourth quarter to be able to pull off the win. I'm impressed with what I see from Texas Tech, but you also have to give Oklahoma State credit for finding a way to get it done in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've said this before, or I've said this before, but where's that transition year? You know, when you change coaches and you change coaching staffs, there's supposed to be a transition year in there where you gotta get your people in, you gotta get everybody on the same page, you gotta know where all the light switches are, you know? But look at what Joey McGuire is doing his first year. It's just tremendous.
The 3 Big 12 schools that are in their either actual first year or their true first year, if you factor in the fact that Leipold didn't get to Lawrence until June
1.5
of 2021. 5-1, 3-3.
Yeah.
And then you have TCU is 5-0 and nearing the top 10. What the heck is happening?
Exactly. I think that says those are really good coaches who know what they're doing, and they just sort of translated and transferred what they were doing at other places to their new schools, and, man, they are going great.
Now, Texas Tech going into the teeth of its schedule a little bit. You've got, West Virginia, Iowa State still left. Those two, the only Big 12 schools to not win a conference game yet. But then you look at the rest of the schedule, and they have Oklahoma, they have Kansas, they have TCU, they have Baylor, and I feel for Joey McGuire whenever you look at that game, that schedule that they have left.
It's kind of life in the Big 12. I mean, you're going to play everybody at some point during the season, and that's a gauntlet for sure, but everybody goes through it at some point in the season.
You have to figure that Tech should be favored against West Virginia and Iowa State, or if not, it's a coin flip type game, within 3 in the projections. Do you think that Texas Tech can find someone and kind of surprise them in those other 4?
Yes, I do. I think they will, just because I think they've got the right attitude. I know Coach McGuire will have them up every game and prepared every game. So, I really do. I think they'll find a way. They'll be bowling at the end of the year. Yeah. So, pretty wild to think about.
Insane to think about.
Yeah.
And then the nightcap, the highest scoring affair in the Big 12 this weekend. Yes, I'm being sarcastic. It was Kansas State 10, Iowa State 9.
Did you watch every play of that game?
I didn't watch a second of it. I watched A&M Bama.
Yeah.
I am a Big 12 guy.
Yeah.
I cover the Big 12 at my job at 6 News. I do a podcast about the Big 12 because I was raised in Big 12 country. I went to a Big 12 school away from my job at 6 News. And I do this show with you.
Yes.
And did not watch the night game in the Big 12.
Right. How about this? My wife wanted to watch A&M in Alabama. So our son has a master's degree from A&M, so he's got a little bit there, and in her family there are Aggies, and she knew that game. Number one, she knew that game was going on. Yeah. She knew Alabama was playing A&M, and she said, let's watch that. And I said, all right, sounds good to me.
Yeah. My wife called me at one point Saturday night and said, what are you doing? I said, watching the Aggies lose.
Just barely.
One of my best friends is a diehard Aggie. He was raised in Aggie. He went to school there. He covered A&M for 3 years. He works. He does game day work for the A&M football program now on Saturdays.
Nice.
Bleeds maroon.
Yeah.
And I just texted him and apologized with the way that they lost. I said, oh my God, they're getting your hopes up. And he goes, this is the worst part. It's the hope that kills. And then all of a sudden, that play call at the end of that one, and it blew everyone's mind. And it comes back to Kansas State, Iowa State. Which one would you rather watch, 28-24 or 10-9?
Right.
Nobody watched this game. If you're a football fan in the state of Iowa on Saturday, I'm just sorry. The 2 FBS programs in the state of Iowa combined for 15 points.
Is that right?
On Saturday.
15 points.
Because Iowa lost to Illinois 9-6.
Golly, a lot of defense being played there.
A lot of defense being played there and potentially bad offense.
Yeah. Yeah, Iowa State's defense, I was looking at the Big 12 stats earlier today, in fact, and they're number one in the league in total defense, in rush defense. I think pass defense, and I know scoring defense. So pretty much every defensive category. I'm not positive about pass defense, but, man, Iowa State, they're getting it done there if they could just score some points.
You have to remember that back to that Baylor-Iowa State game, Iowa State goes into it as the number one rushing defense in the Big 12,
that's right.
Where they still are.
Yeah.
And they forced Blake Shapen to throw it, and that's when we learned Drake Dabney's going to be trying out for the Baylor track team in the spring. But, Baylor found a way in that one. Teams are finding a way against Iowa State. That's not a knock on Matt Campbell. Breece Hall is gone. Brock Purdy is gone. Xavier Hutchinson's really the only one who had any significant playing time that's left on this Iowa State offense.
Yeah, so many big guys. Charlie Kohler is gone. Remember how good he was, the big tight end. But, I mean, look at what they're doing. They're going to beat somebody. I mean, they're just going to get in a defensive game, and that's their forte, and they're going to beat somebody.
And to Iowa State's credit, those first three conference games that they've had, Baylor, Kansas, Kansas State. Not an easy way to start conference play at all.
And they've been in all three of them.
They have been. 14-11 was the close one, and you had your opportunities in that one. So lots to be positive about for Iowa State. It's just when you look at the rest of this schedule, you still have Texas, you still have TCU, you still have both Oklahoma schools. West Virginia is probably the easiest game on their schedule, and West Virginia's ranking in the top half in some of these computer projections in the FBS, and that's just speaking to the depth of the Big 12 this season.
Yeah, I read something this week. Tell me if you saw this. I can't remember who it was, but pretty prominent, said the Big 12 is the best conference, top to bottom, of any league in the country. May not have a playoff school, but top to bottom, it's the best league. And I don't disagree with that one bit.
I don't disagree with that, and that does bring me into the next thing that I want to talk about, because we are at the halfway point of the season. 1 through 10, is there one team that we're worried now in Week 7 probably will miss a bowl game and will be done on Black Friday or Thanksgiving Saturday this year?
Yeah. What about Oklahoma? I mean, that's a possibility.
It is.
Isn't that crazy to talk about? But that's a possibility. 3 weeks ago, they were in the top 10 in the nation.
And rightfully so.
Sure, absolutely.
And, not that they had played that strong of a non-conference schedule, but again, there was a lot of expectation there for a reason. I'm worried about Oklahoma potentially missing a bowl, which would be the first time since 1998. I'm worried about West Virginia missing a bowl. I'm worried about Iowa State missing a bowl as well. And two of those teams, all of those teams came out of their non-conference schedule with a winning record. Now, West Virginia did have a Week 2 conference game mixed in there. But West Virginia was 2-1 in non-conference with one FCS game. Oklahoma was 3-0. Iowa State was 3-0. And now we're talking about all three potentially missing a bowl game?
Yeah. I mean, you get a 3-0 start, you're halfway to bowl qualification right there. But I think that's a possibility. I mean, they got work to do to get to 6.
Now, for Oklahoma, we talked about Iowa State start the Big 12 play on the schedule. Oklahoma's is about equally difficult. Kansas State, TCU, and Texas.
Yeah.
So you look at Oklahoma, you have Bedlam, you have Baylor, you have Tech, you have Iowa State, West Virginia. Would you see them, based on the way the defense is playing right now, which isn't great, combined with the unknown about Dylan Gabriel, do you have them coming out of that with at least 3 wins? Because I don't know if I do.
I don't know. And help me remember this. Last week when we were standing here, did I pick Oklahoma to beat Texas?
I think you picked Texas. I picked Oklahoma.
Oh, you did? Okay. Because I was thinking, my thought was, I don't think Oklahoma's going to lose 3 straight. Now I'm not sure when they're going to win again.
You know what? Now that you say that, I think you're right. I think we both thought the same thing.
I think we did. So we'll fess up to that. But to me, it was more, I don't see Oklahoma losing 3 in a row. Now, how many are they going to lose in a row?
That bye week cannot come soon enough for Brent Venables' squad. How much of what's happening in Norman do we attribute to the fact that Venables is a defense-first guy, similar to what Matt Rule was when he came to Waco, and that just takes a little bit of time to install that type of defense-first culture and lean so heavily on your offensive coordinator and prayer that your offense stays healthy?
Yeah, maybe so. That's a good point. And Jeff Lebby's the offensive coordinator. But it's more like the defense you would never think an Oklahoma
Right.
defense would be this bad, giving up 49 and then 55 the week before to TCU.
Especially now with a national championship winning defensive coordinator.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know.
On the flip side of that, what 3 teams do we think have the best shot at being at AT&T Stadium in Arlington?
Ooh.
We gave you 3 we're worried about bowl eligibility on.
Yeah.
Now, what 3 teams do we think have the best shot at getting one of the 2 spots in Arlington on December 4th?
All right. Well, for me, recency bias, I think Oklahoma State. I think they're the best team in the league right now.
I agree with you.
I think they're playing the best of any team in the league right now. And TCU would be 1A. If Oklahoma State's 1, TCU would be 1A. So those would be the top 2 for me right now.
For 3 and 4, because did a podcast with the Waco Trip guys last week, and we talked about, is it Baylor or the field for that second spot? Because I think everybody kind of agrees Oklahoma State's the best team in the Big 12 right now, or at least they're playing like it. I don't know on Baylor's schedule what games not to pick Baylor in, because Baylor's just that kind of team, and this defense is normally that good. On the flip side of that coin, what game, based on trends, we both picked them to beat Oklahoma State. We both picked Baylor to beat BYU. Do we think Baylor has a shot at turning this thing around in the final 7 games to get to Arlington at the end of the season? Because last year, they turned it on in the last month of the season to get there.
Yeah, and I think the answer to that is yes in my mind, because I just see the resolve in Coach Aranda, and this open date, which was kind of a half open date because you're playing on a Thursday, but they just put their head down and they went to work, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it on Thursday night.
I can't either. I think this will tell us a lot about the rest of the season, even if it is West Virginia. And again, not a knock on Neil Brown, not a knock on West Virginia. This Big 12 is just deep this year, 1 through 10. And, to talk about, the half open date. So we normally talk to Dave Aranda at the podium Mondays at 11:30.
Right.
We get players Tuesday right around dinner time, and then they play on Saturday. Guys, they kept the same schedule this week. We got Aranda on Saturday at 11:30. We got the players Sunday as the second window of NFL games was ending, which would be around dinner time.
Right.
And they're playing on Thursday. How much, routine is important. I like the fact that they're staying on routine this week.
Very much so. And it's just, would you expect anything less from Coach Aranda?
Right.
Right? I mean, here's our weekly schedule. All right, let's back it up 2 days. Here's our weekly schedule. That's all it was. It's no big deal. We're going to do it this way. And it seems like all the players that we've talked to, seemed like everything went really well.
That's good news to hear. Let's talk a little bit about Texas, because Texas, with Quinn Ewers, they're 2-1. And he left the 1 halfway through.
Yeah.
With Quinn Ewers, is Texas a threat to be in Arlington?
Boy, they definitely are, aren't they? I mean, we should include them in the conversation. With Bijan Robinson, you start with him, and then the way Ewers is playing, like you said, they got to be up there. They got to be up there.
And they're playing very different styles, with Card at quarterback instead of Ewers. They were very much, okay, Bijan, go get your 100, and then after that, we're just going to chuck it through the air.
Yeah.
And we're going to, if the Bijan option's not there, then somebody's open down the field.
Yeah.
Because they're loading the box. Well, now with Quinn Ewers, you can open up a little bit more of a spread attack and force defenses to commit one way or the other, and you've got options that are there because Ewers is such a dynamic quarterback, even with his legs. But do you worry about injuries, given that they've been banged up in the quarterback room, that maybe they get a little conservative in some of these games that get close down toward the end? One of which that comes to mind, Black Friday, Baylor, Texas, could be for a spot in Arlington.
Yeah, could very well be. How about that? And that's way down the road. And let's put this in a vault right here and then see where things actually are.
Right.
That week, Thanksgiving week, because both teams, who knows, could change their fortunes, could just continue to climb like I think Baylor will, and Texas sure could. But that's the last game of the regular season, and it'll be interesting to see where they are at that point.
The one team that we left out that we both said would be in that top 3 competing for a spot in Arlington at the beginning of the season is undefeated in Big 12 play.
Yeah.
The Kansas State Wildcats.
Right.
Adrian Martinez is lightning in a bottle, just like Jalen Daniels has been for Kansas, and we're not even throwing them in there. Does that speak to the surprise element of TCU at this point, of Texas at this point, or does that kind of say that we still might have some reservations about K-State because of the Tulane loss.
I think part of it is Kansas stole some of their thunder,
Yeah.
By as well as Kansas has been playing their first loss last week. But in the state of Kansas, both teams ranked. I read this for the first time. Both of them ranked.
First time since like 07, right?
Something, yeah, I think that's right. So really good football being played there, and it's just sort of, to me, that's sort of Chris Kleiman style also.
Yes.
It's very get the job done. I'm not going to say vanilla, but just get the job done. No hoopla. Let's go out there and let's win another game, turn the page, and go to the next game.
Now Kansas is 5-1, but we'd be remiss if we said that their Big 12 schedule was as loaded as Oklahoma's is, as Iowa State's has been to this point. Kansas, 2-1 in Big 12 play. West Virginia, Iowa State, TCU is the one, and we're talking about TCU as a contender, and they lost to them.
Yeah.
So you look at the rest of Kansas's schedule as it's laid out in front of them. I think they might be off this week. I'm not 100% sure, but they're here on the 22nd. And then they have Texas left. They have Texas Tech left. They have both Oklahoma schools left. They're going to, and they have the Sunflower Showdown on Thanksgiving week. This is going to be an interesting 6 weeks for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, this is the stretch drive, but maybe they built enough confidence, that'll propel them into this stretch run, second half of the season.
Right.
You could say the toughest part of their schedule, and I think you'd be right. So be fun to see that.
And the 2 trips to Texas that they have are in Waco and Lubbock. Neither one of those easy places to play when those teams are humming, and they're both playing pretty good football right now.
Yeah. Homecoming here, the 22nd, which is an 11 a.m. game. You saw that. So, yeah, that'll be great.
As someone, I understand fans don't have the same feelings on it. As someone who works on deadline on game day, 11 a.m. is my favorite kick time.
I know that. I've come to like 11 a.m. more than I used to. Used to be the worst games got put at 11 a.m.
Right.
Let's bury them here. But now, with Fox and their big noon kickoff, that's noon Eastern. I mean, those are some really, and ESPN's balancing that with 11 a.m. games. There's some big games at 11 a.m.
And the first conference to really embrace that 11 a.m. time slot and put a really good game there, the Big 12.
Big 12, yeah.
And they did that, 2017, 2018?
Yeah. No, I think the league was open to it.
And I think it's paid off, and it's shown other leagues, hey, we have a really good 11 a.m. game. We have a really good game. Let's not shy away from that 11 a.m. time slot.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into 3 keys for Baylor this week. Baylor, West Virginia, that's a 6 p.m. Central Time kickoff Thursday night. Is it Puskar or Pusker?
Neither. Milan Pushkar.
Pushkar.
I don't know how you get that out of the spelling there, but it's Milan Pushkar Stadium.
We'll blame Eastern Europe.
There you go.
I've been saying it wrong my entire life. 6 p.m. Central Time,
Glad I could
Thursday
help.
night from Milan Pushkar Stadium in Morgantown, West Virginia. It is the unranked Baylor Bears at 3-2, 1-1 in Big 12 play, facing the
2 and 3. Is that right? Yeah.
0-2.
Right.
West Virginia Mountaineers. First Thursday night game for the Bears since 2019. Trivia time. Baylor has played 3 Thursday night games against West Virginia. Not so much a trivia time, just a fun fact. 3 Thursday night games in 5 years, all against West Virginia.
Interesting. That's right. Because the game in 19 was Halloween.
Here,
right? And that was a Thursday
miserably
night.
cold.
Yeah, but that was a Thursday night. And West Virginia's playing their 3rd Thursday night game of this year.
In 6 weeks.
Yeah. So
Insane.
they may be used to it.
All right, 3 big keys. We'll start with you.
Okay. I think West Virginia is really good, best in the league in second best in the league in third down conversions.
Okay.
They're right at 49 point something percent. So you've got to be able to get off the field on third down. I think that's huge. And, third downs, you convert that, you continue drives, you keep the clock going in your favor. So I think that's going to be really, really big if Baylor can stop them on third down opportunities.
I'm going with the secondary as my first key. I think that you have to be able to defend the pass, force JT Daniels to make risky throws. Don't let the receivers beat you and give up the big play, you've got to force him to thread the needle and try to force a turnover that way, because West Virginia is a little bit more reliant on the pass than on the run.
Yeah, very good. Second one for me would be Baylor's got to be able to run the ball. I mean, they've talked a lot about it. The offensive linemen have, the running backs have. Coach Aranda sure has, about getting that edge on offense. And that's not just the offensive line. That's the running backs. It's just an attitude on offense. So they've had extra time to pound that into the guys' heads. So let's see how that plays out and how Baylor runs the ball.
My second key is going to be route running. I think that you've got to run clean routes against a team like West Virginia. This defense is really good. Yes, the offense is mostly centered on JT Daniels, but rightfully so. He's a very good quarterback, and he's kind of earned that right there in Morgantown. You have to be able to run clean routes, give Blake Shapen a place to throw the ball to avoid more turnovers. And then whenever you get a throw your way, if you aren't going to be able to make the catch, you have to swat it down.
Yeah.
Because one of those 2 interceptions against Oklahoma State in the fourth quarter was simply because he couldn't make the catch, and instead of swatting it down to keep it away from the defender, he let it play.
Yeah. It's a great interception, by the way.
Yes.
Great juggling
Remarkable
interception.
catch.
It really was. All right, third one for me would be handle the atmosphere in Morgantown. It's a Thursday night. Those people will be out there, and they're going to be ready for Baylor coming to town. Baylor's 0-5 all-time playing in Morgantown, so Baylor's got to handle that road atmosphere, and I think they will. I think they, learn from BYU. They learn some more from Ames, and hopefully that'll pay off on Thursday.
You mentioned 0-5 in Morgantown all time. Is this one of the top 2 teams to ever go to Morgantown for Baylor? I'd put it up there with 2014.
Probably 2014. That 2012 team was really good. That was the 70-63 game.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably so, to go up there.
This is an awesome atmosphere. I really like that key, and I'm really sad that you stole it from me.
You can use that.
My third key is going to be the offensive line, and not specifically because of the running game, but because how many of those penalties in Provo and how many of those penalties at Ames were pre-snap.
Yeah.
And those are road atmospheres. This is going to be as hostile an environment as I would think Provo was. Because West Virginia, I mean this in the most affectionate way possible. These fans are crazy people, and it makes college football a lot of fun, man, when you've got an atmosphere like this. Those pre-snap penalties can't be there. You have to watch the ball and not listen for a cadence.
Yeah,
because that's what leads to that.
Good call, and that's kind of a basic tenet on the road, isn't it?
Yep.
Playing on the road, especially in that kind of environment. So that'll be important.
Much cleaner game for Baylor against Oklahoma State, but that was also at home. Iowa State, to me, is the standard setter for penalties right now for Baylor, because
was that 3?
I think it was 3.
3 for 30 or something like that.
Yeah, and it showed that they can do it on the road.
Right.
Now you just have to do it on the road again.
Yeah.
And then after that, you have to do it on the road 3 more times.
Exactly.
And so I like Baylor's chances. I'm taking Baylor in this one. Interested to see by how much.
Yeah. I am definitely taking Baylor. I like Neil Brown a lot.
I do.
Do you know this? He and I are from the same hometown, from Danville, Kentucky. And I went to Danville High School. Neil went to Boyle County High School, which is the county school there. And he was like a 5-sport standout all-state receiver. When he graduated, he was the 2nd leading receiver all time in the state of Kentucky. So he's got, I don't think he has a statue there, but he should. So,
he should.
Yeah, so we're from the same hometown, and I like him for that reason. But I want him to do well, but not this week.
Not this week. Your 2 favorite teams, Baylor and West Virginia, but on that day,
except when we're playing each other.
Except when you're playing each other, or
yeah.
whatever team Neil Brown winds up coaching.
Yeah,
he is a very good coach. He's got West Virginia moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
And it does feel like if he can get them to catch on, that this might be as sustainable as the Dana Holgorsen run was, especially in the middle there.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think he's a very good coach. He's proven that. I know he and Coach Aranda are really close, very much self-respect or mutual respect between those two.
I mean, they recruited the same areas for how long when Aranda was at LSU and Brown was at Troy as the head coach there. You look at the rest of the schedule for this week, so that is the Thursday game. Again, that is 6 p.m. Central Time.
And you're going, you'll be there.
I'm going. I fly out of Austin at 8 a.m. Thursday.
Nice. Chance of rain. Did you see that?
I did.
Chance of rain on Thursday, so might be a factor.
I'll be packing the rain gear for sure. I know that our chief photographer, Rocky Bridges, is watching this and making sure that I know to pack it. 3 games on Saturday. Kansas not off. Kansas is playing this weekend. In fact, it's one of those in the teeth of their schedule games
yeah.
that we talked about. 11 a.m. God's time Saturday on ESPN2, the 19th ranked Kansas Jayhawks at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, facing the 3-3 reeling Oklahoma Sooners. This is a fascinating matchup.
Yeah, it is. How about that? You know, like we said last week, there's no way Oklahoma loses 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Well, do they lose 4 in a row now against Kansas? So, yeah, this will be fun to see. And I'll be home on Saturday for the most part. Yeah. So I'm going to sit down and hunker down and watch games like this.
What's the biggest key to this one for me? For you? Because to me, it's just Dillon Gabriel play, because I don't trust the Oklahoma defense to get a stop.
No, that's really, that's it, isn't it? I mean, he is such a key to their success. And we saw a big 0. You know, on their scoreboard on Saturday when he didn't play.
Davis Bedville, not Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah.
That's not his fault. He's just a different quarterback.
Right.
And then obviously Jeff Lebby and Brent Venable see something that they don't like, to where, you know, if Gabriel can't go and they go with General Booty, who's the 3rd string quarterback and a first team all name in college football.
Right.
That tells me that they don't really know who their 2nd string is, and that creates a little bit more confusion on the offense to me.
Yeah, and Kansas looking to bounce back, having to go on the road, play in that atmosphere. I'm sure the OU fans, you know, they're going to do their part on Saturday. So it's a great matchup.
Some of the projections have Oklahoma as a favorite. I take Kansas.
Do you really?
I'm taking
going in
Kansas. I don't trust OU to get a stop, and I don't know what Gabriel's status is.
Yeah, that's true. You know, not knowing Dillon Gabriel, I'd take Kansas also. Yeah. Which would be a huge road win.
Did you think we'd be here 6 weeks ago when we started this here show?
No, not at all.
Also 11 a.m. Central Time on Saturday from Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium in Austin. It is the 3-3, also reeling Iowa State Cyclones, who, by the way, they've also lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And these 22nd ranked 4-2 Texas Longhorns, winners of 2 in a row with their starting quarterback back. And I think that at this point it's the Quinn Ewers show, and how much can Iowa State fluster him?
Yeah.
Because I think that's the biggest key is Texas has to score to win. When Texas has trouble scoring, even if just for a half, is when it starts having trouble winning. It's what cost them the game in Lubbock, and it's what kept that UTSA game really, really close for way too long. I like Texas in this one, but Iowa State's defense is good enough to make it interesting.
That's it. We talked about Iowa State, how good they are defensively. So Quinn Ewers, Longhorns offense, they've got their work cut out for them.
The final game on Saturday is a 2:30 p.m. Central Time kick, and this is the game of the day in the Big 12 Conference. From Ammon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth on ABC, it is the 5-0, number 13 TCU Horned Frogs hosting the also 5-0, number 8 Oklahoma State Cowboys. Oh, what a matchup.
Battle of unbeaten.
Battle of unbeaten
in October.
Between 2 of the Big 12's elite. Yeah. The 2 teams. That is a realignment joke. But TCU's defense, I don't know. They've gotten some good stops when they've needed, but it's the offense that stirs the drink there in Fort Worth for me. Oklahoma State's a little bit more balanced of a team. I'm taking Oklahoma State simply because I've seen more from them.
Right.
I think they are more tested. I think they have shown to play better football on a broader scale. But I truly don't have a read on this game.
Yeah. No, I agree. Again, recency bias. I've seen Oklahoma State up close, and I would pick them to win. That's not a knock on TCU whatsoever. I think this could be a great game. You know, isn't it a great game, great showcase for the Big 12?
The only thing that surprises me here is a blowout.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be close. 2 good teams playing each other.
Now, on a little bit of Baylor-related news that came down the pipe yesterday.
Yes.
Former Baylor football coach Matt Rule fired as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, as is his longtime defensive coordinator who went to Temple to Baylor to Carolina with him, Phil Snow. Obviously, immediately, everybody, myself included, starts saying, look, guys, the Rule to the NFL thing didn't work out, but what he's done at the college level, he took a Temple team that's kind of a non-traditional program and turned it around in year 3, wins 10 games in year 4. That gets him the job at Baylor in the midst of a scandal. Goes 1-11, installing a defense-first kind of culture. 7-6, 10-3. He's gone to the NFL. What is it about him at the college level, in your experience with him, that makes it to the point where every single person who understands football and how it works is looking at Matt Rule and saying, look, guys, he's going to get a college job if he wants it.
Yeah, if he wants it, that's the key.
Right.
But he's a program builder. I mean, there are some really good, high-profile college jobs that are open right now.
Yep.
And I think Matt Rule would probably be on every one of their lists. You remember he played at Penn State, so he's got that Big Ten background, and Nebraska and Wisconsin have openings right now. But I don't know. He hadn't called me. I don't know if he wants to.
He hasn't called me either.
Right. I don't know if he wants to stay in the NFL. I would guess that he would, if he would want to stay in the NFL. But, man, he could have almost his pick of jobs in college, because your question is, what is it about him? He's a program builder.
Yeah.
You know, he knows what to do. He's done it at Temple, here at Baylor, in really rapid fashion, too. You know, you don't have to hire him and think, oh, this is a 5-year plan. You know, look what he did at Baylor, from 1 win to 10 wins in 3 years.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy knows football.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things that maybe changed a little bit since he last coached in the college level, one of those being name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
And so I look at it as the two places he's been are two that aren't known in football for having, we'll call them pesky boosters, like we have 90 minutes down the road if you go south on 35 from where we're standing right now. So looking at the jobs that are open, knowing that it's Arizona State, Nebraska, Wisconsin right now in the Power 5 level, Georgia Tech in the Power 5 level as well. Although there's a rumor on Twitter, and I don't know that it has any feet whatsoever, but that because of his friendship with Jeff Collins, who was fired at Georgia Tech, that he might be hesitant to take that one.
Okay.
Let's look at those 4. In 2016, when he was hired at Baylor, Baylor was coming off of a scandal with an NCAA cloud hanging over its head and a whole lot of uncertainty about the football program moving forward. Those 3 apply to one of those 4 openings to me. Do you agree? And which one is it to you? Because when I said that on Twitter yesterday, people thought I was talking about Nebraska, and I very much was not.
Right, okay. That was my thought when you were saying that. I thought you were talking about Nebraska. I think, here's another thing to factor in. I think the Big Ten tie might be a factor.
I agree with you.
And I think Wisconsin has been and is a really good job. And remember this also, Marcus Sedberry was here at Baylor during Coach Rule's tenure here. And Marcus is now the deputy AD at Wisconsin. So somebody there is going to say, hey, tell us about Matt Rule. They're going to ask him that question, and I bet he'll have really good things to say about him. So that's, to me right now, that's the leaning, again, if he wants to go back to college.
And we don't know what it is. We don't know the terms of his buyout with the Panthers either.
Right.
There is a report from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network that part of the stipulation of his buyout is it's offset by whatever his new college salary would be, because everybody is just assuming he's going to go back to the college game where he had so much success.
Right.
Of those 4, and I agree with you that, to me, he might lean Big Ten because most of his coaching experience was in Big Ten country, including in the NFL when he worked with the Giants for the 1 year. However, if I'm the athletic director at Arizona State University right now, I'm sliding a blank check across the desk to Matt Rule and his agent and saying, name your price, we'll make it work.
Wow.
Because Arizona State has an NCAA cloud hanging over its head. It's in the midst of scandal because of recruiting allegations during the COVID-19 pandemic. And there's uncertainty about the future of Sun Devil football. Part of it's because of realignment in the Pac-12. Part of it is just because they've kind of been reeling since the end of the Todd Graham era there in Tempe. I think that is a very similar situation in Tempe right now to what Rule inherited in Waco in December of 2016.
Those are really good thoughts. And if there is anything out there for maybe Arizona State coming this way to the Big 12, why not hire a guy who had success, coached in the Big 12, kind of knows his way around?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very good thought.
So that's my thought on it. I agree with you that if I am Matt Rule, if I'm thinking like Matt Rule, you know, that Midwest Northeast area kind of looks nice. And if you had to choose between Wisconsin and Nebraska, right now as a college football coach, I'd go Nebraska. Not Nebraska, I'd go Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Nebraska might have more money, but Nebraska is pretty similar to Texas in its athletic department structure, to me at least. And I wouldn't want that headache. I'd go to Madison and just start winning.
Yeah. Here's another idea or thought. I think Matt Rule would be terrific on TV if he wanted to do TV for a
100%.
year. Just collect the money from from the Panthers and do TV, I think he'd get bored of doing that pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I think he'd be really good at it.
I also agree with you because the man knows some football.
Right.
Yeah. You excited for Morgantown?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do
I hope
it.
the rain holds off.
Me too.
I'm
hoping rain during the day.
Yes,
Leave my night alone. Let the
yes,
football be
exactly.
dry.
Let it rain in Waco. Come on, let's say a prayer here. We need rain here in Waco.
For John Morris, the voice of the Bears, I'm Kurtis Quillin. We will see you Thursday from Morgantown. Enjoy your week. That's been the Big 12 Breakdown. All right. I will stop it on this end.
Hey, very good.